So welcome everyone to this special launch of Breaking the Silence, Rising Again, Fueled by Resilience. So tonight isn't just about a book. It really is about a movement, a mirror, and a moment of reclaiming the strength that maybe you forgot that you had. And I know that the authors certainly did find some of that along the way. So, couple of questions. So if you want to pop into the chat, whether you're here live on Zoom or on Facebook, where are you calling in from? So where are you calling in from? If you could just pop that in the chat, that would be fantastic. Great, that's probably enough time. So we're just juggling around with all of that. And next question. So in the chat, if you can pop in there, who invited you to the event? Who invited you to the event tonight? And I can see there's some answers there in the chat. That we have Maria from Switzerland. Oh my goodness. Chelsea from Victoria. Nikki from Camden. We have someone else from, I don't know the name, but from Mount St. Thomas in New South Wales. Hello, hello. Deb from Wilton. I can't even say that. Murrumbina? Is that Pam? I hope I said that correctly.
Murrumbina.
Okay, thank you for that. Jacqueline invited me. Adele from Maine. Oh, I think I said that as well. Sarah from Geelong. So we have people from different parts of the world. So fantastic. Thanks for joining in. So first question in the chat box. I want you to drop a Y in the chat if you've ever been knocked down by life or someone or somehow you found the strength to rise again. So drop a Y in the chat if that's you. And I can see a few Ys dropping into the chat right now. Fantastic. So next question. And I want you to think about this and maybe take in a deep breath. Have you ever grieved something no one else could see? I know the authors have because they've shared it in their stories. Now, this could be a relationship or the end of a relationship. This could be maybe you've lost yourself or you've lost the life that you thought you had. If that's you, can you drop a G into the chat if you've ever carried silent grief that you didn't have a name for? Awesome. You guys are participating. I can see the new messages going into the chat. That is fantastic. So I really appreciate your honesty for sharing inside of the chat. Okay. Now, as I'm looking down, I'm communicating with our host for the night, our event manager, Anita, because she does a fantastic job. And I just want to make sure that I'm on the ball here because I've already dropped it with the technology. So there's the second mistake, authors, that I'm sharing with you. It's okay. You can just make light of it. You can have a bit of a joke, acknowledge it, and then move on. So here's what I do know. I do know that I talk to many people, so many people at the moment. The most common problem that I feel that we're facing isn't just about stress, isn't just about exhaustion. It's about the hidden wounds that we carry. It's about the things that we don't talk about. You know, if you've ever processed grief, you would know what I'm talking about. It's like the burnout that no one sees. It's the trauma that we bury. Now, I know for myself in writing the chapter, many things actually came up that I had buried or I wasn't even aware that was there. So, you know, that heartbreak or that heartbreaking silence that we sit with when we think no one else would understand us. So I know that everyone in attendance tonight can relate to something that I'm saying, definitely for sure, because this is the thing when I'm talking to people. So that's why resilience isn't about bouncing back. One of our authors who's actually couldn't make it through the chapter, and you'll see inside of the book her little story and her testimony that some things actually appeared, some stresses in her life that actually really burnt her out. She actually couldn't complete a chapter. So, that really does confirm that it's not about bouncing back. It's about rising wiser. It's about rising softer and more powerful because, like, we've all lived through it. Even the last 5 years, like, hasn't the world changed? You have to, if I was to say drop a C in the chat right now, if the world has changed, if your world has changed, I would guarantee that everyone is going to be dropping C's, not E's. That's something else, but dropping C's into the chat. C for change, that is for sure. Because, resilience, why now? Because the world doesn't look the same, does it? We know that it's changed. We know that there are cracks showing. Maybe it's in our workplace, within our families, our communication, our health, and certainly within ourselves because we've spent far, far too long pretending that we're fine when we're actually running on empty. So resilience isn't about powering through, it's about waking up. It could be even about slowing down. And just like one of our authors who couldn't make it through, Raylene, she actually chose to heal. So even if we have to do it one broken piece at a time, and now more than ever, people are craving for truth with all this crazy AI and technology. We're craving for connection and the proof that it's possible to rebuild. And I know the authors here tonight have done that. They've demonstrated that in their stories, in their chapters, over and over again. So the reason why we created the book was we know what it feels like, as you guys do. We've just penned this one, but we know what it feels like when we're the only one who feels like that we're struggling. So drop a S in the chat if anything that I've said so far really resonates and makes sense to you. Okay, there's an S. There is one S. There are probably going to be a few more S's. Thanks, Sarah, for that. So what you'll realize is thanks, Teresa. Thanks, Pam. Thanks, Morag. Thanks, Daryl. Thanks, PJ. Wow, we're on a roll tonight. You guys are really playing the game. You're really uh, uh, being really attentive. And that's the thing on Zoom as well. How do you get engagement when we're kind of talking on technology? I can't actually see anyone apart from the screen in front of me. So, that's how much the world has changed. So what you will realize is through the pages in the book, you'll know that you're not alone. You know that you're not broken. And resilience is not defined by how little that you've hurt, but by how beautifully that you've been able to rise. So for those of you who haven't met me, my name is Gavin Hyde. I'm a professional educator. I'm a transformational mentor at my own business, Gavin Hyde, co-founder of Alchemy Inc., the People Publishers, and I'm the mastermind behind the Elevate Your Expertise framework. So before we meet the authors, just a couple of quick housekeeping notes, and you're all playing along really well anyway. In regards to all of that, is if you can just have your camera off and your mic off during the session so everyone can stay focused as you are and being attentive to the chat and dropping in your comments. If you have any questions for myself or the authors, just drop it into the chat at any time. And at the end, we'll go back and we'll answer those questions. We'll have a little bit of a Q&A just for you guys. Also, there's some amazing prizes that we're giving away as well. So if you're one of the prize winners, I will share instructions with you at the end on how you can claim your prize. So stay tuned. So drop an R in the chat if you're ready to be inspired, if you're ready to hear the real, raw, resilient voices behind this book. Oh, there's a few R's because they are. No, that's the pirates, isn't it? So okay, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first amazing awakened author, Debbie Roberts. Welcome, Debbie.
First trick, take the mute off. Hi,
That's
everyone. So maybe just I'll talk a little bit about me. I'm a business coach, a speaker, a writer, very proud mum, stepmom, grandmom, and a long-term volunteer. So I'm very involved in my local community. But more than that, I'm a woman who's walked through deep pain and found the courage to rise. I chose to be part of this book because I knew the time was right for me to actually put these words on paper. And for years, I have only ever told the story of my daughter Rebecca's passing and kept all those deep bits tucked away and not shared them. And for me, writing my chapter, Sweet Surrender, wasn't just about healing for me, it was about a way to honour her and to speak up for all the women who are quietly holding pain in their hearts. So I'm a big believer that by sharing stories, it allows others to share their stories and to heal as well. The theme for my chapter is, as I said, for years I felt really silent, speaking only in snippets about my daughter's story. And writing my chapter gave me the vehicle to finally speak my truth and to honour her life and my grief. And breaking the silence is about acknowledging the heartbreak, letting go of the guilt, and there's a lot of guilt when someone you love passes, and choosing to heal by helping others feel less alone in their struggles. There is one funny little story I want to share about my daughter Rebecca. So she got diabetes when she was 7, and her little sister was 1 at the time. So one afternoon, Rebecca was checking her blood sugar at the table, and her little sister toddled up and had a looked at her with a cheeky grin. And Rebecca flashed her cheeky grin back at her and said, "Want to play doctors?" And I'm like, oh, what's going to happen here? Before I knew it, she had a toy medical kit out and was testing her sugar, sister sugar's level with a pretend sugar monitor and a jelly bean bribe. And I know people on here, I know my sister's on here, so she'll understand the jelly bean bribe. And she said to me, "Mum, she's low, Mum. Better give her 3 jelly beans just to be safe." I burst out laughing, and she'd turned a daily diabetes routine, which is stressful, into a game and recruited her baby sister as her sidekick. So that was my Rebecca, clever, cheeky, and always up to something.
Thanks, Deb. That's fantastic, and we really appreciate you being here. And also, we know that it's been a real journey with your story around resilience, and more than ever, we know for you personally that this has been a real healing journey. So, I know that you're going to get an opportunity to share more. And inside of your chapter, I know that like it unfolds layer upon layer upon layer. So, thank you. So, over to Jacqueline
Thanks.
Bogley.
Hello, everyone. I am Jacqueline. I am the founder of Time to Rise Coaching. And as you might hear, my accent sounds a little bit funny. That's because I am from Switzerland. And I am just so excited to be in this group with all these inspiring people. A little bit about me. I am enthusiastic about NLP, which stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming, and is basically about how our memories influence our behavior, which is super, super interesting. And also, I am passionate about pranic healing, which is a gentle, energetic healing method. It's without touch, so it's super gentle and yet super powerful. And yeah, what can I say? I have been engaged in NLP and pranic healing for the last 3 years, and it has changed my life for the better a lot. I am on a mission to support spiritual entrepreneurs and high achievers as they are navigating grief, trauma, and addiction. And this matter is really close to my heart because I know what it's like to be thrown off track and carry a lot of heaviness with me. And I just want people to know that they don't actually have to suffer and that they can realign with who they are meant to be. I have written a chapter in this book, which is called Healing from Within and Beyond. And I've written about the time when I lost my dad to cancer. I have written about the challenges that came after that, navigating the ambitious goals that I've set for myself, responsibilities, while also trying to heal and create that space for healing. And I really hope to inspire and encourage people as they read my chapter. When I now think about my dad, what I love looking back to is very early memories when I was a kid. He was in an orchestra, and I really wanted to join to play alongside him. And my parents always told me, well, you just have to wait a little longer until you're older. And so I patiently waited. And then the day finally came when I got to play an instrument. And I started to learn how to play the flute. And my dad would practice with me. He would spend hours and hours with me, driving me to the lessons and listening to every concert. And when I look back, I just love how he always was there with me. And the day came when we finally played together, and I was in that same orchestra as well.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Like, I have that many goosebumps running over my whole body. I'm holding back the tears. I can see Anita here on my screen holding back the tears. So I just wanted to say thank you, for sharing your vulnerability, for sharing your story around grief, trauma, and addiction, because I know I've read your chapter many times and it's real. And all of the stories inside of, I can even hear it in my voice, all of the stories inside of this book are deep, and they reflect layers of pain. And all of the authors have showed so much courage and vulnerability to share that with the world. So thanks, Jacqueline. Now over to Jennifer L. Kerr.
Thanks, Gav. I'm Jennifer. I am a results coach and a mother of 4 children, and now an author. So that's very exciting for me. The reason that why I joined the book is I have struggled mentally. It started off the main theme is about my postnatal depression that was actually compounded after each of the children's births, and it wasn't actually picked up until about 6 months after the birth of my fourth child. So by that time I was I was in a pretty big hole. So I suppose the key themes is about the postnatal depression, but just the bubble and the isolation that I felt, and just the suffering of the pain. So I have trouble speaking sometimes. Trouble with with the pain, and just trying to keep it together and just present to the world, that yeah, I'm fine, but not. I ended up multiple times attempting suicide, and did spend a bit of time in several sessions or several months after the different attempts in a mental hospital. So I was pretty lost. I lost my husband left, so I found myself being a single mum, and that ended up being the pivotal moment. So yeah. I was sort of switching to one story. I mean, I lost so much of myself, but what I've found now is that I go and do a lot of walking, and the local swings actually call to me. And one very brave day, while there was no one around, I actually jumped on the swing and and had a bit of a laugh to myself that this old lady is being like a child. But anyway, so yeah.
Thanks, Jen. Look, I know that you've demonstrated so much courage in your story, but also to be speaking here live. Like, it's a big thing to be speaking in front of people. And I know that we're on the computer and we don't really see people, but it's this pressure that we place upon ourselves, isn't it? So I just want to acknowledge your courage. And I love your story about the swing and just kind of swinging like a child and being free. So thank you. So over to our next author, Kim Hyde.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kim. I'm an aromatherapist, an astrologer, and a mentor. In the book, I think I call myself a modern day alchemist. And the reason for that is that what I really love to do with the people that I work with is to join them on a journey of exploration into the depths of their soul, looking to uncover the lead that is really weighing them down and transforming that lead into the gold of healing, joy, and self-love.
Somewhere else.
So why I chose to be part of this book is because to me, it's not just a book about telling stories. It's about giving voice to what we've kept buried or silent. And that was something that was really important to me. And I thought it's really time we did more of that. And while my chapter speaks to resilience at its heart, it's really about reclaiming authenticity after trauma. It's about reclaiming inner power and authenticity after being silenced by trauma. It explores how unacknowledged grief, childhood loss, and emotional neglect can sever us from our true selves, and how healing is a journey of remembering, reclaiming, and rising from that silence into self-trust, into empowerment, and into more wholeness. And so that's really the journey that I'm on, and the journey that I love to witness with others, and to be there for them as well. So I hope that if you read my chapter, that you can really resonate with that.
Thanks, Kim, for sharing. There is such depth in your chapter, that's for sure. And I have the pleasure of, I believe, being a participant or being what's the word? On the other end of all of your alchemy. So I'm truly blessed to be doing life with you. So thank you so much. Okay, Morag Wheeler.
Okay, that sounds like me. So my name's Morag, and I've worked in the mental health field for 40 years. And I've helped people in all sorts of areas of life, but my passion has been mostly about women and women with trauma. Worked in the field of perinatal mental health. I've done all sorts of training, and it doesn't actually always prepare you for trauma. So I had therapy qualifications, all sorts of things. And then for me, when I broke up with my first husband, and there was a financial mess that was bigger than I could have ever imagined. And I spent my days wondering how I was going to feed my children, do those kind of things. I was working 3 jobs, not sleeping much. And I'm supposed to be the person who's the helper. So there was a lot of shame involved in that. How did I not see? How did I end up there? And when so I've stayed in personal development. I've read myself silly in personal development courses. I've trained myself in all sorts of modalities to help the people that I was working with. But I think underneath, I'm also helping myself. I read so many books on finance to take me out of the hole and organization. And I think I'm speaking, and I decided to be part of the book because I see so many women who've separated later in life, who financially give everything to their children, who don't know how to work with money or how money works, and so they end up in a big hole. The children leave, the children are fine, and then they're on their own. And our age group of women is becoming one of the largest homeless populations, people having to move in with friends and adult children to be able to survive. And I really feel strongly that financial problems are a mindset thing, that it's something that you set up a discipline, that you form habits around. And I've used that even with the clients who I worked with who are on very small amounts of money to be able to save and make changes. And I wanted to share that much more broadly. And so I've spent the last little while training as a coach with the sole thing in my heart that I want other women not to have to go through what I did. And I did that because I wanted to leave a legacy for my children, to have them understand that no matter what happens, you can find the other way. And the story that I was thinking about when I was thinking about sharing tonight was having my children play what my youngest son used to call the Mollage game. And we would sit around the table, and although we didn't have, big expensive things and that kind of thing, we used to sit around the table on a Thursday. I used to take all the technology, and the first thing we did was acknowledge each other, to look at each other and to talk about the strength that each one possessed, and that each person spoke to each person. And it was something when things were really rocky that we did all of the time. We played games together because I thought it was really important to be able to talk and create relationships together in that way. And I used to listen to Monty Python all the time because Always Look on the Bright Side became my theme song. And I had Greatest Hits in the car and I used to skip past the rude songs. And what I didn't know is that my children had noticed me skipping past the rude songs, and they went back and played those rude songs and then shared them with their friends. So we did things that didn't cost a lot to have fun, to release things. And we sang loudly to those songs in the car. And my daughter, who is an extraordinary woman on her own, has a tattoo on her arm of us car singing as a memory of those no-cost things that were fun and joyful, and that allowed us to release all those things that were hard in that time.
Thanks,
And,
Morag. It's a joy to hear. Take away the technology, connect with your children, and also those songs, Monty Python, for those in that era, that age, would know exactly what you're talking about. And isn't it amazing that you skipped the naughty ones, but they played them with your friends? So thank you for sharing, and thank you for your contribution. So over to Rhonda Lee.
Hi, I just unmuted myself. Hi, I'm Rhonda Lee. I've been on a lifelong journey of self-discovery. I always felt deep inside that there was something missing. It just didn't feel right. I always felt on the outside looking in. And this led me to becoming a qualified holistic counsellor, life coach and mentor, founder of Inner Peace. I've delved into many healing modalities, but eventually I found astrology which helped me to see my life in a different way. And it actually helped me find the missing piece, or make sense of it, to put my puzzle back together again. When I was asked to be part of this chapter, I was at a real dark place in my life. I just suffered a breakdown from working in a toxic place at work, and I'd also found out I was adopted. I didn't know what to do. My life was shattered. I was confused, lost, and alone. My safety mechanism that always kept me safe and protected wasn't there. It didn't kick in anymore. And I realized later that was my resilience. But my resilience even couldn't help me find a way out. I didn't know what to do. And when Gavin said to me, would you like to have a chapter in my book and talk about my life experiences, I thought, oh, I don't know how I could do this. How could I even start to talk about myself? Where would I start? But he assured me, he said, everything would be all right and I would be there to guide you every step of the way. So it's really been a journey. It hasn't been an easy one, but I've learned a lot about myself. And the biggest thing is recognizing how resilience has played out in my life. And it was my safety for so many years. The funny thing in my life was it wasn't funny at the time, but on one of our Zoom meetings, tensions were running high. My brain was going crazy and I just couldn't get what Gavin was trying to tell me what to do. After the Zoom meeting, I thought, that's it. I'm not writing this chapter anymore. It's too hard. I can't go to those deep, dark places and I'm not doing it. So I went to bed and all through the night, I kept getting download after download of what I needed to write. So I got up in the morning and I wrote my chapter. And then I got a phone call from Gavin in the morning because he didn't know what to expect from me because he knew I was pretty upset. And I said, no, Gavin, everything's fine. I think I needed all that to happen so that I could get out of my way and just let the information flow. So so that's what happened. And I just grabbed onto the lifeline that Gavin gave me. And slowly I've just been able to pull myself up. It's not an easy journey, but I'm gradually learning how to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you.
Thanks, Rhonda. You know, when you have, when you think about an event that's happened in your life and you can remember where you were at that point in time. Well, for me, that phone call that I had with Rhonda, I can clearly see where I was. And it was a very deep, pointed, precise conversation that I had with Rhonda, coming from a place of support, love, and appreciation, and a lot of truth. And I'm really pleased that Rhonda was able to hear what I had to say. Some may say it was cutting, it was deep, but I really want to acknowledge your courage again for not running away from it, Rhonda. And, you know, the reason that I called the next day was because I realized it was pretty brutal, the conversation. But, you know, for me, it was looking beyond the brutality of the conversation to actually help you to peel back those layers that would help you to see that light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you. So thank you to all the authors. So in the chat, I want you to drop well, it's resilience. So let's drop an R in the chat if you related to any of the author's stories. So drop an R in the chat if you related to any of the stories from the authors. I can see some R's being dropped into the chat right now. So thanks to the authors for sharing that part. Now, on to our first giveaway. So we have two fantastic prizes in this section. The first from Jacqueline Bogley. I just wanted to make sure I get that right. I've got to practice that name. So there's the third mistake. So anyway, keep on going in your next round, authors, when you're doing your great conversations and peeling back those layers. So Jackie is offering a pranic healing session that's sure to get you feeling in line, at peace, and energized in any area of your life. Well, let's just say holistically, it's valued at $150. And the second prize is from the magical Morag Wheeler. She's going to take you on a deep dive results coaching session valued at $200. So how these questions work, or these the prizes to be won work, the giveaways, I'm going to ask 3 questions, and the first person with the most correct answers, or the first 2 people with the most correct answers, will actually wins. And so our wonderful event manager, Anita Gibson, the game changer, she will be calling out the winners' names at the end of this section of the giveaway, and at the end we'll let you know how you can collect your prizes. So how you play, post your answers in the Zoom chat, or if you're on Facebook, in the Facebook chat. Next step, just take a nice deep breath in, exhale, relax, tune in to your intuition, trust your instincts, because they just might be right. So let's see who can tune into the energy of resilience and guess correctly. So the first question, what is the emotional theme guiding this gathering? Is it avoiding pain? Is it rising from setbacks? Or is it playing safe? A, avoiding pain. B, rising from setbacks. Or C, playing it safe. So we'll give the people on Facebook an opportunity, because there's a little bit of a lag between Zoom and Facebook. And I can see that Anita is collating the billions of answers from the trillions of people that are gathered here tonight watching our event. That is question one. So question number two, and you might have to guess this if you don't know it, but what chakra are we activating to support emotional strength and courage? Which chakra are we activating to support emotional strength and courage? A, the solar plexus, which would be, I can't say if it's the correct answer or not, but the solar plexus is about personal power. B, the crown chakra, which is about spiritual connection. C, the root chakra, which is about safety and grounding. So which chakra are we activating to support the emotional support and strength and courage? A, the solar plexus, which is personal power. B, the crown chakra, which is the spiritual connection. Or C, the root chakra, which is around safety and grounding. And I can see Anita connecting all of those correct answers, and even the correct answers as well. Because if you correct, you're correct. And if you, it's just the correct answer. So question three, which emotion reflects the energy of bouncing back stronger? Which emotion reflects the energy of bouncing back stronger? Defeat, hope, or disconnection? A, defeat. B, hope. C, disconnection. So well done, everyone, for doing your best and putting the answers, placing the answers into the chat, either here on Zoom or on Facebook. And we might need a little bit of a drum roll. So Anita, whenever you have got our two winners, if you want to pull a name out of the hat, I can see there's a thumbs up. Over to you, Anita.
Fantastic. Well, there was lots of correct answers, but there were two people that got all three correct, and they are, drum roll, Maria and Sarah. Congratulations.
Awesome, Maria and Sarah. Congratulations on winning those two fantastic prizes. Remember, at the end, we're going to give you the information on how you can claim your prizes. So well done. Okay, so now we're going to throw back to the authors, and they're going to tell you a little bit more about a couple of things, maybe about a challenge that they faced, writing their chapter, or what their chapter's about, maybe a revelation and an insight. So back to you, Debbie Roberts.
Thanks, Gav. One of the challenges I faced during my journey, which is in my chapter, was living with the constant fear that came with my daughter Rebecca's diabetes. Keeping in mind, she got it from the age of 7, so she was quite young. It wasn't just the medical side of it, it was the emotional weight of always needing to be alert, to be strong, to be in control. And the hardest thing I found also, because I was a nurse, people expected me to cope better than anyone else. And in that case, I was the mum first, the nurse second. And even when I was exhausted or overwhelmed, I felt like I just couldn't let my guard down. So I was at that constant state of you know, ready to go to battle when I needed to. One of the insights, which I talk about in my chapter, that I gained from the experience was I realized that trying to carry everything on my own was just not sustainable. Strength isn't about trying to do it all. It's about, I was a single mum at the time as well, so that was another burden that often people will relate to. I needed to ask for more help. I didn't. I needed to know when to rest. I didn't. And when to let others in. And that there is actually power in vulnerability, even when it feels uncomfortable. And one of the revelations or aha moments that helped me rise again was I realized that Rebecca's story didn't end with her passing. It was only just a beginning. Through sharing her journey, I become an organ donor advocate, which I speak about in the story. And speaking out about grief, I discovered that her life still had impact and still had purpose. And that revelation helped me to see that love doesn't disappear, it transforms. And in honouring her, I found the strength to keep going.
Thanks, Deb. I wasn't sure if you still had more, but that's the realness, that's the rawness of these stories. And so, once again, I just want to acknowledge your vulnerability, your courage, and although this a situation or event occurred many, 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 many years ago, it's a weight that, like, I can't even imagine what that would be like. But that's what makes these books magic. It's the courage to dig deep, to kick off another layer of healing, which has certainly happened for all of the authors along the way. And more so, we know that sharing stories to other people who really need to hear it, it could just be reading the chapter. It could be a line, it could be a sentence, it could be a paragraph of Deb or anyone's chapter, could be the spark that really instigates a decision that you make in your life that pushes you on a if I can say that word, trajectory in a direction, same thing, right? That actually helps you to make peace with something that is lying or being hidden for such a long time. So hence the series, the book series, Breaking the Silence, is more than just, hey, we just pick some words. Because it's a powerful breakthrough when you're able to break that silence of things that you've been holding and carrying, because it's painful. And I know that, Deb has mentioned many times that she's been able to transform that pain into purpose and power. And let's throw in another P, potential. So thanks, Deb, for sharing and having the courage to be real. We love you. Okay, over to Jacqueline Bogley.
Okay, so challenges that I faced during that time period, there have been many. And the one that I want to talk about today is tuning into my own needs. And you can imagine there was a time period when I just got into personal development. I started so many trainings because I was so enthusiastic. I started my business and started projects, and then my dad passed away. And I somehow wanted to keep the things going, but I also wanted or needed to grieve. And that was also a time when I was recovering from a drug addiction. So you can imagine that my nervous system was out of whack all the time, and it was kind of hard to be in touch with myself. And I really needed to learn, well, what are my own needs? How do I prioritize what I need right now with all the other things that are going on? And I really learned that I needed to create that space for myself, because if I don't, then no one else does. And something else that I really learned in that process is, sometimes you hear people say, oh, you just have to learn to live with it when you lose someone. And I partly agree with that, because when you lose someone you love, your heart breaks in a way that can't be unbroken, and you get to learn to live with that. And at the same time, there's also a lot of heaviness. There is so many emotions and things that drag you down and deplete you. And you don't have to learn to live with that heaviness, because that heaviness can be lifted, that can be healed, can be transformed through so many different modalities. And yeah, I learned that healing is a choice. It starts with your own decision to put yourself first.
Thank you, Jacqueline, for sharing. More goosebumps. I don't know about you guys out there, what you're experiencing, but oh my goodness. And I've read the stories. We've been connected for some time. And so, that's a really key message, Jacqueline, that you shared about taking care of your own needs, but also that healing is a choice. So thank you. Over to Jennifer Elker.
Jenny, you're muted.
Here's
Just ask.
One of the main challenges that I faced was that everything that I was experiencing was internal, and basically that created a disconnect from reality, from the world. Wanting to be the best mum for the kids, but at the same time, sort of sounds cliche, falling apart, was really hard. So trying to find my way back was very difficult. And basically the turning point of that was when my husband left, being the primary caregiver of the kids. And I figured that I came to a decision that the kids need me. And so at that point, it was a decision to actually that they had to find some way to stick around, to be there for my kids, because their dad was quite absent. So, I was the only one that they had. So that was the big turning point in my life. But I found that because he'd been an absent dad, that being a single mum, I'd already been a single mum, even though he was there. So that was like a really big aha for me. And it was at that point where I was starting to realize that, I have this strength and I can do it. And so that was like the massive turning point. There was still obviously a lot of healing and a lot of self-discovery and reflection that had been going, that needed to happen. So I mean, this book has been amazing as far as trying to use my voice, which I struggle a lot of times to get my words out and get them out nice and clearly and in a way that is not prattling on. So yeah, no, I just a lot of the healing that's been going on. I mean, after starting to come out of the depression, was, then there was a lot of guilt around, what had I put my children through, and that process has been hard. And it's probably only in the last couple of years that the kids have actually, they can see the changes that have happened and they're actually starting to relax. They're not worried that mum is going to check out. And, you know, again, that makes me, you know, the years that I've lost with the kids, just, yeah, it's hard. There's still parts to it that are still going on, but you know, if I can speak out and I can, so people can see where I've come from and see that, you know, hope is not lost. Doesn't matter, you know, how dark and how deep, you know, that you've been. I mean, the only, as deep as far as the only way I thought of being able to get through it was to actually end my life. So to come from that point to where I am now, it's been like a total transformation. And if I can be a voice for others to see that there is a chance that, you know, not to give up, to last one more day, to get up and to keep fighting. And as long as you keep fighting, things will eventually turn around, and you'll start to live again, and you can be that person who gets on a swing, you know, in their old age, and start to feel the like the joy and you know, I love to walk, and when I walk, it's just expanding, and I talk to the birds and I sing and I dance as I'm walking, and it's life-giving. And so when I look back, you know, I never thought that was possible. Never thought at all. So
Jen, I'm going to jump in
yeah,
only for the purpose of acknowledging you for having your voice. And also, now that you found it, I'm not sure if we can actually stop you. So in saying that, thank you for sharing. I know from the comments that I could see in the chat there that people are inspired. They could see that you found your voice, and I'm really proud of you for Jen didn't just check out of life and watch Netflix. She tried to end her life. And so, you know, maybe that creates some triggers for people, and I apologize in advance. It's not meant to create triggers for people, but I'm so glad that you failed that one because you have much to give. You have many swings to swing on, much joy and light to share with others that have been in the depth and the dark of depression like you have. So I just wanted to say once again, it's an honor and a joy to hear your voice. Thank you. Over to Kim Hyde.
Thanks, Gavin. I am way more comfortable with reading or writing rather than speaking publicly. It's not something that I feel very comfortable doing. So I have written something that I'm going to read. I hope that's okay with everyone. It's just going to be a lot easier for me. So thanks for your indulgence in that. So one of my biggest challenges that I faced on my own journey was being left alone in my grief after losing my mum at just 9 years old. Her death wasn't something that we talked about. It was kept quiet, hidden behind closed doors, and that silence shaped so much of my life. I'd learned to carry my pain quietly, to appear strong even when I was crumbling inside. And as the years passed, that silence grew heavier, especially when my home environment became unsafe and abusive. When I became a teenager and I was just trying to survive that. the insight that I gained through all of that was this. When you're taught to silence your emotions, you lose connection, not only to others, but to yourself. I had built a whole life around survival, but I hadn't learned how to feel safe being me. I had disconnection from everything, even myself. And that disconnection was more painful than any single event. The aha moment came for me when I realized that healing wasn't about erasing the past. It was about reclaiming the parts of me that had been left behind. The little girl who stood outside her mother's door, the teenager who walked into the night with nothing but hope. I began to sit with her, to listen to her, and slowly welcome her back into my life. That's when things started to shift for me, when I chose to be present with my pain rather than to run from it. I discovered a strength, a resilience I never knew I had. That choice to turn to myself with love was the beginning of rising again, fueled with resilience.
Thank you, Kim. I'm moving some tears behind my eyes. I'm sure that everyone that's listening in is deeply moved by your strength, your resilience, but the way that you beautifully have written and communicated that message from suffering to being an inspiration and a beacon of light and hope for everyone that meets you.
Thank you, Gavin. You're making me cry.
Well, now we're even, Kim. Ooh, okay. So, Morag Wheeler.
I'm just breathing a bit as well. You know, how do you follow that? So for me, it was a devastation of losing who I thought was my soulmate, and then finding out how badly my world, which I thought was fairly stable, was crashing around me. And I felt like the inside of my core was frozen at the betrayal that had happened. And I mean, I took myself to bed and I just pulled the covers over my head. And I've always been an action human who's out there doing things. And I just let myself stay there for days because I didn't know how to move. And then it was about taking small steps one after the other. And I realized that resilience is about bouncing, and it's about rebuilding and becoming more aware, and that it's small steps that feel unbearable in the moment. And as you take them one after the other, the pain starts to get less and you kind of get into a rhythm, and the rhythm becomes soothing because you have to keep going and it's not a quick thing. And like a few people have said, when you have children, there you can't let them see the pain, and you can't crumble and fall because they need to see what strength looks like. And there are moments when it feels like it would be an indulgence just to to just stop and make it all go away. Would have been easier to be bankrupt. It would have been easier not to keep my farm, but I knew how important that was for my children and how much they needed the stability in their world, which was also cracking apart. So it's about transforming your mindset, and that each step forward, as you make a step, then you can see new vistas and new other things. And it's about learning how to find the resources that you need. It's about talking to people, and it's about bringing the people who love you close. And I want to say thank you to all the people who are here supporting me on this Zoom, who have been part of that community, who wrap themselves around me in those times when it was so hard. Because without that, and without learning things, and without, the people that gave me advice, that stood with me, I might not be here and have had the success that I have. And I think that it's, no matter how dark the place is, it's just about small steps and bringing the people around you close. And I think that, finding a mentor and a coach, which I found in the books and then in real life, they pull you up through that journey. And, I encourage you to do that for yourselves, to, pull people close, find a mentor and follow them through the journey until you're out. Because, if we all did, you all can.
Thank you, Morag. And I just want to say a heartfelt, it's lovely to see you emotional. The reason I say that is because you are a pillar of strength. You are always in battle and you're always fighting for everyone and doing everything for everyone. So I'm so pleased for you that you found your rhythm, that you've been able to transform your trauma into triumph. And I know that your message is powerful. I know it can help a lot of women and probably men as well. And you've really done, well, I'm not even sure what the words are. So great, so well. You've accomplished such accomplishments that you've made in your life. And I'm not even sure if you've acknowledged that for yourself. So I want to give you a takeaway to pat yourself on the back and acknowledge yourself for what you've accomplished in your life, because you've done great things, and I truly believe that you'll continue to do even greater things with a transformed mindset. So thank you. I think you did pretty well following Kim, right? So I think you did really well. So over to Rhonda
I
Lee.
was already leaking. There was nowhere else to go. Like normally I don't do that. Normally I don't let myself go, as you said. But I was already a mess before it got to me.
Messy is great because messy is great because messy's real. People don't share the mess. They just sweep it under the carpet. So messy is great. So once again, you're leading from the front, like all of the authors. So I'll move over to Rhonda Harper. Oh, sorry, Rhonda Lee.
Oh, hi everyone. So emotional after hearing all those other authors speak. It's just amazing, their journey. My one challenge, or that I found really hard, was how was I going to reveal to the world my deep, dark secrets? What would they think of me? I'd spent most of my life using my safety mechanism that kept me safe of when I was faced with any diversity or trauma, or I would just dust myself up and just keep going like nothing had happened. But when it came to that crucial moment where I just couldn't do that anymore, I was a shattered mess and didn't know what to do. I had to start looking within instead of looking out all the time to try to find the answers. My lifelong journey of looking for the missing pieces was really all about just going inside and sitting with myself and talking to myself. So that was pretty hard too, to face all those moments, but realizing that from those deep, dark moments, I've gained a lot of valuable insights about myself, and I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't had this journey in my life to keep me going. I've had some amazing people help me along the way, but the insights I've had now, it was like releasing the deep, dark pain. It's still part of me and probably always be there, but now I'm aware of it, and it was like a cloud's lifted on me, and I can feel that I can start moving forward, taking a step at a time. and helping me write the chapter has helped me do that, facing all these fears. And now I don't really worry about what people are going to think of me, because when I think of it, I wrote the chapter for me and only me, to help me to really find out who I was. And so, yeah, it's just been an amazing journey that I've been on. And I just want to thank Gavin for throwing me that lifeline when I needed it at my deep, darkest moments. And he's always been there guiding me in those turbulent moments that we've had. But I always seem to find that resilience somehow to keep on going. And that's what I do every day. It's not easy. Right? I just keep going and take one step at a time and just learn to be me. And I am who I am. And what I've been through has faced who I am today. So my take on this is, when you're at your lowest, if there's any lifelines around or anything, just grab onto it and keep on going, because you're not alone. Everybody is in this journey together, in this journey of life. So thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you.
You know, you're once again, you share such wisdom. I wrote this story for me. I did it for myself. Like, it takes courage to just come out and say that, because most of us are going to say, well, I'm doing this to help my kids, or I'm doing this to help someone else. But you just speak the truth, Rhonda. Everyone has spoken their truth tonight, but I love the fact that you just say, I needed help. I was in a dark place. I didn't know if I could get out. There was a lifeline, and I grabbed onto it. And even the fact that you, like, it's not all rosy, is it? Like, the truth is, we get out of a hole and sometimes fall back into another hole, don't we? But as you said, that's your resilience, and you've found a way to be able to deal with that in your life. So I want to say thanks to all of the authors. So thank you. Now I'm actually feeling quite inspired to do a little chat, have a little bit of a conversation about my story. Now we've done a couple of these before, and I've actually not shared any of my story. So obviously I have an opportunity to speak here. So I'm just going to keep it really quick. I didn't prepare anything, but what I want you to do is, I want you to look very closely at the camera and at me and at my lip. Right here. Now, if you're looking closely, you'll probably see that there's a bruise, or it's black, and there's a lump. Now, I've had this black and bruised lip since I was about 15. So my chapter's about, I was bullied. Now here come my emotions. I was bashed. I was beaten. Not for something that I did, for something that I didn't do. And that event that occurred in my life, not that I knew it at the time, sowed the seeds of resilience that I wouldn't realize till maybe 40 years later. And so, as part of writing a chapter in this book, I had to dig deep to kind of find a story that I could tell, because for everyone that's watching tonight, you can probably get a sense that there's some pain in people's stories, but there's also some, sure, it's resilience, sure, it's rising again, sure, it's strength, but there's, as Rhonda said, there's light and there's hope, but it's the opportunity to, like Deb mentioned or mentions in her chapter, turning pain into purpose. So reflecting back, I didn't realize that I had put this armor of anger on. And for most of my life, I had been fighting everyone and everything. I think I'd even created hidden enemies where I would have not a problem in the world of getting anger and projecting that as a way of keeping myself safe from that deep hurt. And it wasn't until I wrote this chapter that I realized that the fight didn't need to continue on because all I was doing was hurting myself because, as one of the other authors had mentioned, I think it might have been Kim, there was a disconnect. And so for me, what I got out of sharing this story was an opportunity to go and visit the younger Gavin, that child that was left lying on the ground in pain. So for me, that's a transformation in itself. That I'm not sure who said it before. Maybe it was Rhonda. I don't know. But like, I'm just really okay and good with me, bruised lip and all. So that's enough from me about my story. What I'd like you to do now, before we do the next giveaway, thanks everyone for your patience, for still staying on for such a long period of time. We're getting towards the end now, but we have another giveaway. But I'd really love for you to drop an L into the chat to share some love to the authors for having the courage to share some of themselves. Because what I do know inside of their chapters is a real powerful transformational story that I know that many people are going to connect with. And ultimately, it's going to make a huge difference in the world for the people that need to hear those stories. Okay, so our next giveaway is from Debbie Roberts. Oh, before we go there, Anita has an announcement. Is that right, Anita?
Yes, yes,
I was
absolutely.
picking you up in the headphones, not that I have any on.
Fantastic. Thanks, Gav. I'm trying to connect with Samsung. Samsung, are you there? I'm trying to get a name so you can be part of these giveaways. So Samsung SM, if you'd like to unmute, otherwise, please just pop in the chat. Let me know. Let me know who you are, a name, please, and that would be awesome. I think I had an iPhone before, but it looks like the iPhone, I've renamed an iPhone, so we're all good. Just Samsung. Who are you? Thanks, Gav.
Thanks, Anita. Okay, so over to the second giveaway. So Debbie Roberts is offering a fantastically well put together, structured framework around some business consulting and business coaching that she does. And so if you want to get back on track with your business, if you're out of whack, Debbie is the prize to win, and this is valued at $150. And the other prize is there's a prize. Who are we going to give away? Okay, so we'll go with this one. I'm actually offering a 28-day reset your mindset on demand gratitude program. So there's a lot to do with retraining your brain and a process for you to follow for 28 days that's valued at $497. So how it works, much like before, I'm going to ask 3 questions. 2 people are going to win the prizes, the ones that haven't already won the prizes. And there's a fair few people on tonight, so that is fantastic. So how to play, post your answers in the Zoom chat or the Facebook chat. And once again, take in a nice deep breath. Relax and exhale. Tune into that intuition. Trust your instincts because it just might be right. So let's see who can tap into their intuition correctly for this next giveaway. All right, so which color best represents emotional resilience? Red for grounded, for being grounded and for strength. Blue for truth and expression, or did I say 2? I meant B. So I'll go back. There's another one, author. See, I just keep dropping these ones for you to see that it's okay, right? So A is red, grounded in strength. B is blue, truth and expression. And C is green, healing and heart power. So A, B, or C? A, B, or C? And if you answered, I won't tell you, then you're correct. Okay, on to number 2. if you were holding a crystal that supports healing from emotional wounds, which crystal would it be? Would it be amethyst for spiritual clarity, maybe? Would it be B, rose quartz for unconditional self-love? Or would it be C, citrine for joy and empowerment? So A for amethyst, B for rose quartz, or C for citrine. A little tricky, this one. Could be a bit of, it's not all of the above. There's no D. But it could be A, B, or C. It definitely is one of those. Okay, great, everyone. Thanks for your participation and staying engaged. So, which sacred symbol, so question 3, which sacred symbol reflects the ongoing journey of rising, healing, and starting again? Who wrote these questions? Oh, it was me. Okay, so which sacred symbol reflects the ongoing journey of rising, healing, and starting again? The lotus flower, rising from the mud, the infinity symbol, endless becoming, or the tree of life, grounded growth. So A, B, or C. The lotus flower is A, B, the infinity symbol, and C is the tree of life. So with the billions in attendance and the trillions that are putting their answers into the chat, I can see Anita is busily collating the best answers. And thanks everyone again for playing along. Could that make it a little bit fun and a bit exciting and give you guys some great experiences to play along, because you've certainly held a lovely space for all of the authors to share some of themselves. So it's our way of giving back. How are we going, Anita?
Fantastic. Thanks, Gav. So I have been collating wildly, and I've got a couple of winners for you. So without further ado, we have, I believe it's Ali D, and Marissa Finestone. Congratulations.
Awesome. Good job, everyone. So once again, we're very close to the end, so we'll just give you the opportunity on how you can actually collect your prizes. So I just kind of want to finish off with a little bit of why this book matters and, you know, really what makes this book different to everyone else's. So you've heard, now there's some of the authors weren't able to be here tonight. So I know that Beck is a little unwell. She was in the crowd, so she couldn't make it. And there's a couple of others that couldn't make it along tonight. Samantha couldn't make it along either. So we hope that you're all doing well. So what makes this different? Well, I could say you decide for yourself, because although the theme is resilience, everyone has a story and they're all different, but they're all very powerful in themselves. But a multi-author collaboration is unlike most self-help books. This one brings together, as you can see, or as you've heard tonight, diverse voices and perspectives. And everyone really has shown how resilience speaks uniquely to all of us. And it was great to hear everyone speaking up. And Jen, I'm highlighting that one for you, finding your voice. So well done with that. You know, the stories are a little bit of a balance of story and strategy. It's not just about reading, and it's about feeling. And, you know, people know it's real when you can feel. And so it is about feeling. It is about reflecting. As Morag alluded to, it is about taking action and making decisions in your own life. There are some tips and hints in the book that you can take on board from all of the authors. The stories are personal truth over perspective and advice. We're not giving any advice. Instead, we're just telling you to believe, like Rhonda did. She grabbed onto something and she believed that there was support and there was hope. So this book really does encourage you to explore your own inner strength, and it requests of you to find purpose out of your own pain. There's a ripple effect of transformation that can occur by embracing the wisdom inside of these pages. And my goodness, is there some wisdom inside of these pages, as you may well have heard tonight. So it's not just shifting your own life. It's about becoming part of a great awakening. and that gives me goosebumps. So drop a B in the chat if you're excited about this book being launched tomorrow. I'm dropping some B's in there as well because I'm really excited to be part of this. So really, this is the problem. Let's be honest. Life doesn't always ask permission before it breaks us. And we know we've all been there. Grief, burnout, emotional exhaustion, abuse, shame, loss, just to name a few. The invisible trauma that we've carried since childhood, like I realized in my chapter, and like many of the authors have, and that keeps showing up in our lives, in our careers, in our relationships, and in our quiet moments. They really do, because everyone knows that many of us suffer in silence, wondering if the pain of our pain even matters, if we even matter. We hide behind success. I'm going to say hand up. Who hides behind being busy? Who hides behind being a perfectionist? I can see the authors there doing that. So putting their hands up. So you know that I'm talking to you. I know that you do. Whilst inside, we're running on empty. We say we're fine when suddenly we're drowning. We're stuck in that stinking thinking. That's what I like to call it. It is that stinking thinking. But here's the truth. You were never meant to carry it alone. We've realized it. We realized it as we started sharing these stories with each other. We have shed many tears. And it is such a great collaboration. It is such a great connection to connect with people like Jacqueline, who's from Switzerland, in another part of the world that we'd never met before. It really is a pleasure. So the solution, it's simple. It's breaking the silence, rising again, fueled by resilience. It isn't just another collection of stories. It's a powerful portal into the hearts and minds of 9 courageous voices who you've seen tonight, who have dared to face the darkness and find their way back to the light. Each chapter offers more than inspiration. It offers permission. Now, what do I mean by that? It offers permission to feel. I can see Morag in my mind now. She must have given herself permission to feel in the public, on an event. So good on you for giving yourself that permission to feel, but not just to feel, to heal. Remember that you're worth it, and to rise again with deep clarity, deep purpose, and power. So this is really what I want you to hear. For every moment that you buried, or that you felt that you buried your grief, your anxiety, your loss, this book holds space for you. It's not just about emotional recovery. It's about the energetic shifts that happen when we finally stop pretending. Pause. It's about the energetic shifts that happen when we finally stop pretending and start telling the truth. The energy of trauma lives in our bodies. Science validates that. It backs it up. This book helps to move it. You'll see for yourself, as you have tonight, reflected in just a smidgen, maybe a paragraph of these stories. Maybe it's just the introduction that the authors have shared. You'll find resilience in their rise, and you'll remember that their words are not the end of your story. They're the beginning of your comeback. So I invite you tomorrow, when the book launches at midday in Sydney time, that is, and any other time all over the globe, that's midday in conversion to Sydney, to grab your copy of Breaking the Silence, Rising Again, Fueled by Resilience. Or if you're in Queensland, that's 11 a.m., right? Available from midday in Sydney time, and it's on Amazon, and it's just 99 cents for a limited time. It'll be 99 cents for 24 hours. So whether you're navigating burnout or heartbreak, or maybe it's feeling misunderstood your whole life, that you didn't fit in, that you weren't part of it, that you weren't good enough, or if you're just searching for meaning in the mess. Oh, I like that. Searching for meaning in the mess. This book will meet you where you're at and walk with you into who you are becoming, just like it has with the authors. So, what I want you to do is contact the person that invited you along tonight to get the link to purchase the copy. Now, if you've just fell upon this event because you were really intelligent and smart and you made like one of the best choices of the year, maybe even the decade, and no one has invited you, just stay tuned to the end and we'll give you a contact and we'll get you in touch and we'll be able to help you to purchase that copy tomorrow. Because when you read it, we'd love you to share your favorite quote, tag a friend, share it with a friend. Let's create a ripple of resilience across the world. Because we have across the world. So what is it? Think global and talk local, as Kim would tell me. Because your voice matters, your healing matters, and we want you to know that you're not alone. So on that note, guess what? We've got one last giveaway. Let's pack that one in. One last giveaway. Okay, so let's make this really simple. You have to guess what I'm thinking. No. That's not, I might be simple, but guessing it might not be so simple. So the last giveaway, this is actually from Kim Hyde, who's offering a breakthrough astrology chart reading where she looks at the planets, the potential, and what else was it, Kim? There was 3 Ps and I'm only picking 2 of them up. There's another P, but you'll find out when you contact Kim to collect your prize. Planets, potential, and anyway, it's a solid conversation over a couple of hours. Kim is our consultant to the stars. So whoever wins this prize is definitely a star and it's valued at $300. So in the chat, pick a number between 1 and 20. So you have to pick a number between 1 and 20. And the person that's either closest or picks the number, we would have to say would be the winner chicken dinner. So great. I can see some numbers dropping in to the chat. Well done. Well done, well done, well done. Anita, do you need a drum roll?
I'd love a drum roll. Why not?
Okay.
Yes.
You've got a silent one from some of the authors. They're
Fantastic. Well, lots of numbers were close, but there was one bang on the money, and that is Nicole Gunn. Congratulations.
awesome. Congratulations, Nicole. You are the winner chicken dinner to have that fantastic astrology breakthrough session with Kim. Okay, so final question for everyone in the chat. What was your biggest takeaway from tonight's event? What was your biggest takeaway? And I don't know if you can see if any of those are dropping into the chat there, Anita, but what was your biggest takeaway? What was the thing that stood out for you the most? Okay, I've got the chat up. Meaning in the mess. We're never alone. Thanks, Deb. Thanks, Marissa. Meaning in the mess. How brave everyone is to tell their stories. Thanks, Deb. Absolutely. Okay, great. Fantastic. So what I want everyone to do is, well, actually, Anita, if you can draw, we're happy to have, there's more and more and more and more. Never give up. Thanks, Daryl. Yep, definitely how brave everyone is to be vulnerable enough to feel, the chat's moving now, to feel and address your resilience with help from others. Thanks, Diane. Yeah, Daryl said never give up. Fantastic, Anita. We all have a story and sharing our pain creates connection and leads the way to helping helping us to share too, that each person has a different way. The storytelling, maybe time to face my own trauma. Sarah, well done for you for even just acknowledging that. So resilience is the key and something to be proud of. Keen to hear more about everyone else's story. Absolutely. Okay, so before Anita just drops the info in, I just had a thought. If anyone is interested to share a story like the authors have, what you can do is you can get in touch with us if you like, because what Anita's going to do is she's going to drop the email address for the winners and also anyone that's interested in sharing their story into the Zoom chat. That just happens to be my email address. So we just wanted to keep it simple. So Anita's going to drop my email address into the chat. So for the winners, what you need to do is you need to copy it, cut and paste it, and send me an email saying who you are. And I will let you know what the prize is, because Anita will has got a record of that, and I'll just assign the prizes just the way that it kind of has come out. We have a system for that. If anyone is interested in sharing their story in the next book, we are taking expressions of interest right now for our next book. We only have about 4 spots left, so we're kind of 2/3 the way full. So if anyone's interested to have a chat to see if that might be something that could be a good fit for you, please just express that or grab my email and just send me an email saying, hey, love to have a chat. So, and in saying that, obviously tomorrow is the launch of Breaking the Silence. We'd love for you to support all of the authors, support yourself. I could say, let's do the Molly Meldrum if you know him, and do yourself a favor and purchase that copy of Breaking the Silence, Rising Again, Fueled by Resilience, at that awesome price of 99 cents. Yes, it helps you. Yes, it helps us as well. It helps to spread a message to the people that need it. It'll be available from Friday at midday. So if you need the link to the book, contact the person that invited you here. If you're one of those amazing people who just invited yourself here, drop down my email and I'll send you the link tomorrow. What I'd like to do now is just thank everyone for being part of this incredible event, your engagement, your energy, your curiosity, your openness, and that's what makes this movement so powerful. I want to thank the authors as well for having the courage. They were so nervous beforehand to come on and share, and you've done yourself really proud, and I know that Kim and I are really proud of you guys, and it's great to see that you're just being who you are, being who you're born to be. Nothing's perfect, is it? But if we can, the more that we can just appreciate ourselves and share ourselves. The book's launching tomorrow, as I said. It's happening Friday. So until that note, remember, until we meet again, to keep shining your light.